Inform you on topics that affect us all. Operation 7570 is one of the longest-running radio programs of its type. It's been on the air since 1967 and brought to you by Apex Bank of Camden. 3 locations in Camden, Big Sandy and Brewston. Today's program after this.
For more than 85 years, Apex Bank of Camden has built a tradition of local people serving local people. Although there have been changes over the years, this one thing remains the same. Hometown people that are your friends serving you every day to meet your financial needs. We want to see you grow and prosper. And when you ever have a need, you'll get personal attention right here at home, not in some far-off corporate office. Number 1 in customer service. Apex Bank of Camden, Benton County's best bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Operation 7570 on this Saturday morning. Fall is definitely in the air today, as you well know. Cool temperatures, and it's that time of the year. Glad to have you with us, whether you're joining us by way of Facebook Live up on WRJBradio.com or the traditional radio 95.9. Great to have you with us, and stick around for the next 30 minutes or so as we're going to be talking with our guest, the Administrator of Elections for Benton County, Jeff Beasley. But before we talk with Jeff, we're going to remind you that the Lions Club Pancake Breakfast is in full swing today over at the Camden Central High School cafeteria. Started at 7 this morning and will be going up until 10 a.m. this morning for the next couple of hours. All you can eat for only $5. Always a great event. We hope you'll go out and support the Camden Lions Club. They do a lot of great work here within our community, and we certainly appreciate every member of the Camden Lions Club. Jeff, you've spoken at the Lions Club in recent months, and great organization.
Absolutely, great organization, and I appreciate you making me hungry right out of the gate.
We'll have to take advantage of that as soon as the program's over. But welcome. How are things going at the Benton County Election Commission?
They're going very well. We're a little bit, actually, I hate to I'll knock on a little wood, we're a little bit ahead of schedule as far as the election goes with all our publications and things like that. We're just excited to get this one started and done, and be able to be done with the year.
November the 8th. We have another election coming up on November the 8th, but as you look back as to the election that was held in May, the Republican primary, then the statewide primaries in August, and the county general election in August, first year working with those 2 elections, you and the staff down there, how do you think things went?
Well, all things considered, I thought they went really well. Of course, I missed August election night ended up with COVID, and I was watching the cameras from my phone and calling them, and I'm not sure if I did more good than I did harm, because I'd what are you doing now? Why aren't you doing this? And that sort of thing. And finally I said, well, you know what, they'll be able to handle it. Marion Harrington, my deputy clerk, had to take the wheel and just done an outstanding job because she'd never really worked the back room, I guess you'd call it, during the elections. And they all pulled together and they done a really good job.
Great. Fantastic. Well, of course, those were big elections, and coming up November the 8th, it is a big election as well, but I don't think there's going to be as much overall people to choose from on the ballots in this election, is there?
No.
A little bit smaller than what we've seen in the past.
It's substantially smaller.
Yes.
Yeah, that last ballot was as long as the Sears and Roebuck catalog. It went on forever. I thought it was 8.5 by 14 both sides, and it was squashed in there, I guess, for a good way to put it, pretty good. And it took a long time to vote that ballot with all the
Hey, I tell you what, let's bring Marco in, Justin. Come on in here. If you don't mind getting up, Marco Winters from the Lions Club has come down, and we'll get back with you in just a moment. Have Marco come in here and talk about the breakfast for just a minute or two. Yeah, get Marco in here. Hey, Marco, come on in here. This is what I like about live radio.
Don't leave.
We have just talked about the pancake breakfast. We just talked about the pancake breakfast, and you've blessed us with a couple of good plates this morning. Tell us what's going on today at the Camden Central.
And good morning, Flash. I know that you're busy, of course, on the radio, and we brought you you and your other employee here
Mr. Luke.
a meal of a couple of pancakes and a couple of sausages, and we are right now until 10 o'clock today.
Well.
The Lions Club is we hosting our fall pancake breakfast. It's over at the high school at the cafeteria around back. Just come on around there. Even you don't have to have a ticket. Just come on in, pay them $5, and it's an all-you-can-eat. It's an all-you-can-eat pancake breakfast. We have orange juice and milk and coffee, and the sausages now they're good. They really are good. Tennessee Pride, I think is what we said. And they are good sausages. And the pancakes we got three different ones fixing pancakes. Of course, Joey Cooper, he's the batter guy. He's the batter. He mixes everything up. And then we got Randy Shannon and Sam Jones and Ann Jordan doing the pancakes, and then a couple of us doing sausages. But it's a good deal. We got people coming in most of the morning, just one right after another there, so we got them ready.
Marco, for just a moment, I know
Yes,
you
sir.
need to get back. We appreciate this.
Yes,
but
sir.
what is the Lions Club all about? What is the Camden Lions Club?
And someone even asked me that this morning. The Camden Lions Club, and I know there's an international Lions Club that's around the world, but I am more focused on local. So the main objective of the Lions Club, I believe, is looking at people around the county and around the area that need special help or need help with their sight. And so as far as I think there was two of our lines went into all the schools. I think they just finished up, and they were allowed to test all the children to they have a machine that they can look into their eyes and see how their eyes are doing and see if they need some extra help. And so they can be referred to back to the parents and referred to an eye doctor to go ahead and get some glasses for them and get them where they can see. But we're all about sight, all about vision, and that's one of our main objectives is to be able to do that.
Meetings second and fourth Tuesdays at 12 o'clock out at
Yes,
Country
sir.
and Western, and
Yes, sir.
welcome visitors. Come out and see what it's all about.
We
And,
are welcome. Yes, always welcome. We do a lot of stuff around the county. We take this money that comes to through the pancake breakfast, and then you see all the flags out. We put our flags out. Columbus Day, of course, is celebrated or observed on Monday. So we have the flags out. I think there's about 400 flags that we put out. The money for that is also received, but that all that money goes back into to helping people with their sight, and we're looking at even people that may be having difficulty with diabetes and that kind of thing. We're looking at somehow how we can study about do a little more studying about how we can help, and we help other organizations around too.
Sure.
We
Well,
do.
we appreciate
Yep.
you and every member of the Lions Club. I know you need to get back.
I do.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for the breakfast this morning.
Enjoy your breakfast.
All right. Thank you.
And you come by and
Mr.
get some too.
Jeff,
Yeah?
Jeff, we were talking with Jeff.
32.
Okay,
Hey,
we'll see you.
Jeff spoke to us,
Okay.
about a few months ago.
Thank you. I'll see you.
All right, thank you very much, and be careful going out on the wires and that sort of thing. But hey, a little spontaneity, but we always love
Ain't
the
nothing wrong
folks
with
at the
that.
Camden Lions Club, and we'll probably be out there in just a little bit. But thank you. I know you, as we mentioned, you spoke at the Lions Club back a few months ago, and great organization. But
And I was ignorant as to what the Lions Club actually did. I'd known there's been a Lions Club. I knew they put the flags out, but as far as what their purpose was, I really didn't know until that day, and it really intrigued me. And organization has some fine people. One of them right there, Marco Winters, good
Great.
man. Joey Cooper. There's a lot of really good pillars of the community.
exactly.
That are heading that up, and it's a great organization.
Exactly, and if you're interested in becoming a member, then they can talk with you out there between now and 10 o'clock, or come as a visitor to one of the meetings on the 2nd and the 4th Tuesdays at noontime out at Country and Western on Highway 641 North. Well, back to the election, and let's just go ahead for a moment. November the 8th, we've went through 2 elections, as we talked about. Jeff, what's coming up November the 8th? What can people vote on when we have this big election?
November 8th will be Governor of Tennessee. We've got 4 constitutional amendments to yes or no. You can read through these. If you'll come to the office, I'll get you a copy of this. You can take it home and study it. It's on our website. It's so you can look at it there. And then there's going to be U.S. House District 8, District 7, and our 74th District Representative, which is unopposed, Mr. Reedy. And then there's going to be city elections for Big Sandy and Camden. So if you live in the city, you'll have an opportunity to re-elect because there's no opposition in Camden City. It'll be Mayor Pafford and Alderman McLean and Travis Pierce. And Big Sandy will have their municipal election as well. Now, there is some opposition for those offices. Right now, the incumbent is John Clement, and he has Robert Sotheby running against him for the mayor. And then Alderman is Terry Culpepper, Jason Dobson, and Becky Ballou Wright. And there is also some opposition there with Diane Shepard and Delia Thibodeau are going to challenge those for those offices.
Now, let me ask you this. What about registration deadline? If people are not registered to vote, is there still time to register and be eligible to vote November 8th?
Absolutely. The last day to register for this is the 11th of October by the close of business, which is 4 o'clock.
Okay.
And I've had a lot of people come in and say, I want to know if I'm still registered. And voter registration is really a permanent record up until the point where you move, request to be removed from the voter rolls, or you pass away. Now, you can go inactive if you don't participate in X amount of elections. It's like 2 federal elections, and then we have to send out a confirmation. If we get that back, there's a process to go through to purge voters for that. But that's a very long process. So if you voted in, say the last presidential election or something like that, you are still registered.
And I believe this election as well, the U.S. Congress seat is up for re-election. They come up every 2 years.
Yep.
Congressman Green, and then there a small section of Benton County that is representative by Congressman Kustoff, way in the northern end tip.
Well, it's not as small as it used to be.
Okay.
Because Mr. Kustoff took the 3rd and the 5th district in the county when they did redistricting.
Okay.
So he's picked up some area in the county. There's Mark Green is the incumbent. Odessa Kelly is the Democrat candidate running for that, and Stephen J. Hooper is an independent candidate, and then Mr. Kustoff is the incumbent, and he has Lynette Williams as Democrat opponent, James Hart, independent, and Ronnie Henley as an independent. I believe Mr. Hart's going to run every time that he gets a chance, I believe.
I think so. But going back to the constitutional amendments, you probably really need to study these, and people may not be that familiar with them. I'll be honest, I'm not that familiar with them, but you just need to familiarize what they're all about. And can you just at least maybe this morning, Jeff, summarize? You don't have to read through the whole amendment questions, but just summary.
Most of it is a rewording, okay, which everybody knows you can reword something and completely change the whole perspective of it. It's going to be like there's one of them that will allow clergy to run for office, because that's been something that's not been allowed in the state. Change the language, constitutional amendment, which says slavery and involuntary servitude except as punishment for persons who've been duly convicted of a crime are forever prohibited in this state. A lot of I think what they've done is they found a lot of old law that they're trying to kind of modernize, if that makes sense. So there's 4 of those. There's an amendment to, here's the one that deletes ministers of the gospel and priests of any denomination from holding a seat in either the House of Legislature. So,
and the best thing is just go to your webpage and just to contact the links and read all through all these.
Yeah, because
the best thing to do. Yeah.
This second and third one are very lengthy, and I would advise you, if you're welcome to come in and get your ballot and read over it while you're voting. But if you want to expedite things a little better, a little quicker, where you just know what you want to vote on, you can bring it in. You bring in a piece of paper of how you want to vote. That's perfectly fine, as long as it doesn't look like another ballot.
We mentioned a few moments ago, Jeff, we talked about redistricting, of course, and because of the redistricting that the state legislature did this year, the congressional districts, as you mentioned, were changed somewhat, with Representative Kustoff from Memphis getting a larger section of Benton County than from what he had. But also, we have a new state representative, Mr. Reedy, I think, from Houston County is now going to be our representative pending re-election. Is he running unopposed?
He is running unopposed.
Okay, so he's going to be our new state representative. Yes.
He's in like Flint.
Okay.
I've met him, and he seems like a very, he struck me as a very intelligent man, and he actually seems like, he cares about his area, his district, his people. Seemed to me like a man of integrity and very likable. And offered his help to me and anybody else that all you got to do is reach out to him, and I believe he'll make us proud.
Now, when will the early voting process start for this November 8th election?
Starts the 19th of October, 8 to 4, Monday through Friday, 8 to 12 on Saturday, and that will end on the 3rd of November. 2 weeks of that. It ends 5 days before Election Day, and we're looking forward to. I like people. I enjoy everybody coming through. I get to see people that I don't normally get to see when they come in and vote, and we'll be there, open up bright and early at 8 o'clock in the morning, and be ready for whoever wants to come first.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's do right now. We're about halfway through the program, Operation 7570. So let's take a break right now for our friends at Apex Bank, and we'll be back with the second portion of Operation 7570. Stay with us.
Apex Bank of Camden, proudly serving the Benton County community since 1931. In recent years, through growth and expansion, we've taken that same local community spirit into other markets. Today, with over 20,000 customers across Tennessee, our business philosophy remains the same. Local people making local decisions, serving our friends and customers, and investing in the communities that we serve. Here for you yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Apex Bank of Camden, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
We're back this morning on Operation 7570, and our guest this morning in the studios, Jeff Beasley, the Administrator of Elections for Benton County. We're talking about the general election coming up on November the 8th, and during the commercial break for our friends at Apex Bank. Jeff, you told me about something I saw on the Secretary of State's website just a few days ago. It is called Voting in Honor of Someone. Can you explain what this means?
Yep, the honor voting is new. It is basically where you're voting in honor of a veteran. It can be a family member or not, and let me caveat that by saying you don't get two votes. You're voting in honor of a person, and that's your vote is in honor of that veteran. And as you know, veterans are near and dear to my heart. A lot of family veterans, my own son, and so this is just a way that I really like this, because it is a way to honor those who've served our nation and kept our voting rights intact. I mean, that's the reason we get to vote anyway, is because our nation has been kept secure by those willing to sacrifice themselves if necessary.
Now, when I come in to vote, if I vote through the early voting process for that 2-week period that you talked about, if I vote that way, or go to my poll on Election Day, November the 8th, can I tell the poll workers there I want to vote in honor of someone, or will you ask, or how will that work?
You go to govotennessee.gov,
okay,
and if you'll scroll down, you'll find the honor voting, and you register for that. They will send you a pin, actually, to wear on your shirt, your clothing, and they're going to keep a record of that, and that's all there is to it. You just register on the Secretary of State's website.
Yeah, that Go Vote 10N. I guess they'll have a link up.
Yeah.
Okay. All right then. Okay.
And you can register to vote there online. It's called an OVR, online voter registration, and those will be up till close of business as well on the 11th. If if you so choose to do that. Now, I had a gentleman call me, and he was interested in his grandchildren registering to vote, and he said his grandson said he'd registered to vote on Snapchat. You cannot vote on You can't register to vote on Snapchat. It's got to be either like the DMV. They'll register you to vote there. You can go to Go Vote Tennessee, but Snapchat is not going to register you to vote.
Snapchat, TikTok, those type of things. You cannot register to vote on those social media.
I'm not going to get that information.
I understand then. Man, I had never thought about that. I never thought about somebody trying to use Snapchat or TikTok as a way to register to vote then. But, Jeff, who governs the Benton County Election Commission? You got a 5-member election commission panel, and there's some things, coming down from the state that you have to follow. Explain that.
They are appointed by the State Election Commission. Names are submitted up to that. They serve for a 2-year period. Our chairman right now is Debbie Kyle, Secretary Donna Melton, retired school teacher, Janet Higdon, Barry Huggart, and Bobby Plant are my election board members. As you know, when the state house is controlled by one party or the other, then that's who controls the election commission. So we have our state house is controlled by Republicans. So we have 3 Republican members, 2 Democrat members.
Okay. So even like now, and I think there have been situations where, the governor could be of one party, the state house could be controlled by the other party, but it is the state house.
The state house.
Yeah,
that's
house
the trigger.
overall, yes.
When the state house controls, is controlled by one party, that party controls the election commission.
Okay. And do you meet, no, you've had meetings leading up to this November 8th election, and
And they have been sporadic this year, but next year, with no elections, they'll be held quarterly, and we're going to schedule those at our next meeting. We'll schedule all of next year's meetings just spaced out quarterly, and we discuss new business, and we allow the public X amount of time to speak. 3 minutes for as many as 5 people can speak at the end if they want to voice their concerns. They can complaints, whatever they want to do. They get their 3 minutes to speak. They'll inspect our new registrations. So that's part of their duties, is to come in when I get registrations in, the registration cards. We will set them aside until the next meeting. We bring those out, and they have to inspect at least 10% of those registration cards up to 200. Now that's more for your bigger counties, Shelby County, Davidson County, because they get a lot of registrations in a quarterly time frame. We don't get that many, but that's the limit, is they have to do up to 200 or 10% of what's been brought into the office.
Jeff, how many voting precincts are there on Election Day? How many precincts do we have across 6?
We have 6 districts, and a lot of the other counties are really mad about that, because some of them will have 14, 18, 20, and they say, "Man, you got it easy." So we got Holiday is the first district, and you'll vote at the Holiday School Gymnasium. And the second is at the junior high school, and the third is at the City Hall, north end, right up next to the insurance company. You go in that door. The fourth is at the elementary school, and the fifth is in the basement of the library. That's the city, and the sixth is at the Big Sandy Gymnasium, and that's where you'll vote on Election Day. We do not vote at the Election Commission office on Election Day. That's only for early voting.
How many precinct workers will you have at each individual precinct? Same number at each precinct, or might that vary?
It'll vary depending on the size of there's little different populations. Some of them are a little busier than others. The law, you have to have 4. Okay, I've got 5 and 6 at most of those. And we try our best to have equal representation, both parties. Sometimes that's challenging. So if you're a Democrat and you're interested in working the elections, I'm interested in talking to you.
I I was getting ready to ask you right now, do you have any openings at maybe these individual precincts right now for any position?
Always have openings, always, and it pays. It's a long day, and of course you're dealing with the public. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. Depends. Some people come in, distraught, upset, and I tell people, you know what? Everybody's entitled to a bad day. Just smile at them, and we'll get their application to them, get their ballot to them, and they can vote and go on about their business and hopefully have a better day.
Now, after the polls close at 7 o'clock on election night, after the polls closed and nobody else can come in to vote after 7 o'clock, but if there is a line, you can accommodate all those. If there's a line,
If there's a
prior to
line,
7.
if there's a line at 7 o'clock, one of the poll workers will go out and get at the back of the line, and that's the end. That's the end of the line. If anybody comes in, tries to get in line, they inform them you weren't in line at 7 o'clock.
Yeah. And my original question, where I was going at original before I thought of that, was the fact that after the polls close at 7, before they can pack up at the precinct and bring the information back to you, they have some responsibilities and duties there that they have to take care of at their precinct before they get, before they bring all the things back to you.
I have what we call a machine tech, and they will be at the precincts the furthest from the election commission, and they will close the machine, print off a tally tape, and they will stick it to the door or the window of that precinct, of that district. That way people can go up there and they'll have the results from their precinct as soon as that is done. And then, of course, they have to load up those scanners, go to the next precinct. Each one of them has 3, and they'll pick those up, deliver them to the election commission office. We roll them in, we pull a thumb drive out of them, which records everything as well. And we have a computer that is our state, it's the HARP machine computer, and it will give it tallies all of our districts together. And then that's when we can, and at 7 o'clock, we can actually have our absentee and early vote totals for you or whoever's there election night, because the absentee counting board can start 4 hours before the poll close in a November election. So we can go ahead and have those tallied up and ready to go when we get a phone call from all of the districts that the polls are closed. I can't do anything up to that point. I don't want to pull a Dan Rather and start giving out results before everybody has got to vote. So and everybody's instructed to call the office when the last person has voted. When I get a call from all 6, then we're going to run those tapes and we'll stick those to the door at the election office, as well as give those results to whoever's there from the media.
Well, this is the final election of this election year, November the 8th. So next year, with no elections coming up, what are you going to be doing? What are you and the staff going to be doing? You're not just going to close the office for a year, are you?
No. We'll be there. We'll still have to do our voter registrations. We do. That's the year that for those who don't have election, we'll do our national change of address. So we'll send out notifications to people that hasn't voted. And that's part of our cleaning up the voter rolls. So we'll have that to do, and just daily obligations, to go through and I've got some plans as far as doing some things in the office. Our storage room is quite small. I'm going to put some shelving in there and hopefully move some things up off the floor and get more than a walking path through there. We've got a lot of old records that we have to go through. Some of those are ready for to be destroyed, and we'll be busy.
Yeah. for a moment, and you've been involved with this project for the past 3 or 4 months down at the Election Commission, and I call it a wall of honor. Of course, that may not be the proper term, but veterans, you're collecting pictures of veterans from Benton County to display down there. And how's that project coming along, and how can people get involved?
It's slow during off election days, and then when election day comes and people come in and actually see that, hey, they say, hey, my dad, my brother, my uncle, was a veteran, and I will get pictures in. So it's a 5x7 picture that we're putting up on we call it the Wall of Heroes, and it's growing. I've got you brought me a treasure of information. Anybody that don't know it, Mr. Melton is the walking, talking encyclopedia of history for Benton County.
I wouldn't say that.
Well,
I know less about more things.
You've impressed me with your knowledge of things. So we're doing a separate section for those members that were killed in action. I'm getting pictures of those individuals, and those that I can't get a picture of, we're trying to get a list of names. We're going to frame that. Those who have sacrificed their lives for us, and I don't see a better place in the county to honor our veterans than the election office.
And just the things I have been able to find out in recent weeks, as you well know, you and I have had this conversation, there is no telling what people might have, an old chest of drawers, old trunks that have been handed down, and
Exactly.
the generations, so many generations removed now from World War II, Korean War, even Vietnam's getting that way. Sometimes you may just go and find something you had no clue was there, and it could have very significant historical meaning.
It could be a priceless treasure of what somebody might find in their grandmother's shelf, closet shelf. There's no telling what kind of history is spread out around the county over, to do with our veterans, our conflicts, our wars, things we had, newspaper clippings and things like that. They're out there. They just have to be found. Mm-hmm. And I'm a history nut, especially military history, and it's always great to find that sort of thing and read up on who was a POW. Ralph Rogers, R.L. Hartley were POWs, along with a long list of others. I don't know all their names. I wish I did. That are Benton Countyans, that have suffered beyond what we can imagine at the hands of their captors, and it's some of the stories that you hear, some of the things that it's heartbreaking as to what some of these guys had to go through. R.L. Hartley told my mother if he didn't have a stick that he'd sharpen so he could stab potatoes through the floorboards and pull them up, he would have starved to death because they stored the potatoes underneath the cabin that they were housed in.
And we spoke about Congressman Mark Green a few moments ago. I think his wife is undertaking a project. She may be working with the Library of Congress to where she's trying, maybe not just here, but throughout the district, throughout Tennessee, maybe across the nation. She's just trying to get stories, World War II veteran stories, of those who are still living, and trying to get those stories on record because, coming back from the war, they did not want to talk about it. We understand that. Mm-hmm. We understand that situation. But, there's some parts of history that still need to be preserved for generations on down the road.
Absolutely. And we are, our World War II veterans are in their 90s now. So we're losing those folks at a incredible rate now. And we need those stories. We need that, where we can remember those folks, and hopefully we won't allow ourselves to repeat the bad things in our history.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if people want to talk more with you about that, you'd love to have the conversation with them
Absolutely.
Down at your office. But back to the election, let's talk about some important dates here, Jeff, in our closing moments. The final day to register to vote for November the 8th, when the early voting period starts, and just other things here.
Close of business October 11th. Early voting starts the 19th, 8 a.m. in the morning till 4 o'clock in the evening. Ends the 3rd of November. Open on Saturdays. Both those Saturdays will be open 8 to 12 for those that can't make it during the day. And then November 8th is Election Day. Polls open at 9, close at 7 at the respective polling places throughout the county.
Okay, all right. And approximately how many registered voters are there in Benton County right now?
Right now, we're about 10,500, and that's a up and down depending on who's purged and who comes in. So it could vary 300 voters, but right now we're at over 10,000 voters in the county.
Jeff, a pleasure. Always good to see you, my
Always
friend.
good
Thank you for what you did at
always
the
good to
Election
be here.
Commission, and we appreciate you so very much and your fine staff down there. And ladies and gentlemen, that will be our program this morning on Operation 7570. If you need to know anything about the November 8th election, as Jeff mentioned this morning, or need to get registered to vote, then contact him at the Benton County Election Commission office. Your address again?
113 Maple Avenue, phone number 584-6144.
All right, November 8th, just around the corner, so be registered to vote by that time so you can cast your ballot come Election Day on the second Tuesday in November. That's our program. Thank you so much for being with us. Keep in mind the pancake breakfast for the Camden Lions Club underway between now and 10 o'clock over at the Camden Central High School cafeteria. Until next week, for Apex Bank, have a great weekend, everybody.
For more than 85 years, Apex Bank of Camden has built a tradition of local people serving